So if you're struggling with getting in the power pocket, then this video is for you. We are going to be discussing why we need to get into the power pocket, the correct body positioning for getting into the power pocket, how to fix the issues that you have. So let's get straight into it. So first of all, getting into the power pocket when we're in the throw means, and at a certain point in the throw, as our arm's coming down, as we're about to throw the disc, our shoulder and our elbow are creating this 90-degree bend, along with a 90-degree bend in the elbow, where the disc is essentially just below your left nipple, and it's creating this box. That is the power pocket. If you get into that position, you know that your throw is going to be pretty powerful because you're using your arm as a lever. Now, you can get into this position without your body, but you don't have the momentum, you don't have the correct momentum pathway. Your throw is not going to be as powerful, you don't have any direction with the body, and you're disconnected from the throwing arm. When the arm works correctly, when the throw is happening at the same time as the correct amount of upper body rotation, what happens is as you extend and you pull through, you get into this power pocket. This arm acts as a lever, and this wrist, as it comes through, it curls. This arm is curled. You come and you follow through. I'll open up a little bit so you can see. You'll follow through, and your disc will whip out of your hand. Whereas if you have a straight arm, you never get any of that lever. Even if you keep this wrist, if this wrist is too locked, right, you lose that lever, you lose part of the lever, part of the whip from that curl in your wrist, which as it's combined with this momentum, as it uncurls, there's a ton of power as it uncurls. It's like it gradually speeds up the entire way throughout the throw and accelerates. And I was watching this guy, and he was throwing, right? He's throwing, but his arm stayed back here, and his shoulder stayed back here. So as he's trying to throw, he's too far back. He's not rotating with his upper body, and it means that our throwing arm can't get into the right positions unless it wants to leave itself from the rest of the body, which is never going to be accurate because the body's going a different way, right? The momentum pathway is not correct. And when we're out behind here, right, let's say we reach back, but when we have this, we don't do anything with our arm and we just stay back, which a lot of people do, because you need to know how to rotate your upper body, which I will get into. But if we're staying back like this, and then we get into this position where actually we're not active with our off arm, what's going to happen is either you're going to bring it out early, and because you're trying to compensate and trying to overextend and get back onto the line because we're under rotated, so you have to overdo it with the arm, or you're gonna still curl but release early, release further out, release late. You're not going to be able to get a consistent rhythm. Your throws are not going to be as consistent, and you won't be able to curl as much with the rest of the body you won't be able to curl as much. And so what's going to happen is you lose part of this lever. This acts as a system where you're essentially getting a ton of acceleration, and if your arm isn't curling in the correct way, then you really don't get this acceleration. So if I try to throw where I'm throwing straight arm, I'm missing out on acceleration. So our wrist needs to naturally curl inside, and we need to have our off arm coming in. So how are we going to do this? How are we going to get ourselves to, so essentially the upper body, if we're propelling the disc and I'm reaching back, you're just going to look at my upper body. It's going to be hands curled like this. You should try this too, right? If I'm throwing, I'm running with my X step, right? And as I'm extending out my foot, I'm reaching back, and I get into this reach back position where my shoulders are rotated away. Now, it's helpful to do it like this because often people have issues with dipping, or they'll dip this way, when they come through with their arm like this. What you need to understand is if you're trying to throw flat, you're trying to throw on the same plane, even if you're trying to throw a hyzer or an anhyzer, it's still relevant to know how your body needs to rotate. If you're trying to throw flat, then this is helpful because you naturally will stay on the same plane, because these parts of your shoulder will stay at the same height, right? If you're looking at this as my shoulder plane, right, and I'm throwing, I'm like this, and then I'm coming through like this as I'm throwing. This is staying at the same height. And it's the same thing with the off arm. There's a lot of misconceptions, but our arm, right, you think of the kinetic chain, it connects up to our back. Our back is a large mover in rotating the upper body, because when we reach back, right, what we're trying to do is bring our left lat, we're trying to contract it, because this is bringing our left shoulder back, and you've got to think, as you're extending, this right lat is extending, right, and then as you come through, it's the opposite, right, so this is coming down, and when our arm is straight and internally rotates, it's conducive with our left lat extending, right, and so you have this right side is obviously contracting. So I say sometimes pull through with your back. Try and imagine you're pulling through with your back, because it's going to get you in the right positions, because it's going to rotate your upper body round. You want to get this rotation staying on the same plane. This is why it's difficult when you have somebody like AB, right, and he's throwing like this, right? People will often, if you just blindly copy that, you'll see that you'll probably dip, because you're just thinking about pressing down. But actually you need to understand that when you're pressing down your straight arm, the goal is to bring this left side of the shoulder forwards, because our lower body, legs rotating, you're trying to keep it on the same plane, you're trying to rotate your hips round, and then as your hips go around, your upper body also goes round, and the way that our arms move affects how our shoulders rotate. So when I bring my arm down like this, it's with the goal of bringing this left shoulder forwards, right? Bringing this left shoulder round, and the right side too. You want to pull through with your back with, if you need some help with it, because you're kind of disconnected, you should try pulling through and also bringing your shoulder blade back like you're doing a row. That's very necessary. When you're bringing this off arm back in the reach back, you keep this left side of you're pushing with this back whilst this is connected, so it's not disconnected from the shoulder and the back, because you want to bring your arm is moving in conjunction with your upper body. So you bring your arm, and then you bring your arm back, and then as it's in this position, because you've got this slight dip, the momentum is coming up and around into this forward position, right, where it's extending, and this left side of my back is extending with the goal of rotating around, because our throw is trying to stay on the same plane, so we need to fully rotate. The more that we do something like this, we are dipping, we are staying linear. The whole goal of the throw is to have this efficient rotation, right? It's the same thing with the legs. It's all about how we can rotate. So, quick throw. You can use that throw as an example. So you need to have the correct momentum pathway. You need to have this back almost over rotating. You'll see that professional players utilize the rotation to the max. Obviously, I'm not reaching back as far as I can, because then I'm over rotating backwards, right? It's obviously, you're going to rotate slightly less if you don't throw as hard. Like if I don't throw as hard, I'm going to be like this. Whereas if I'm throwing really hard, I'm being like this, right? I'm not going absolutely everything with the reach back, but in general, the more you rotate back, the more you're going to have more range of motion. You're going to have more power in your throw, right? So you want to rotate back, and then in general, most people don't realize that you're rotating and then you're rotating, right? It's the same as the legs, they're rotating. And so if you don't already get enough rotation with this arm, because often most people don't know what they're doing with this arm. They don't understand that it's connected with the back. Its role is that our limbs have have roles in the throw. That's maybe not the best way to say it, but if you under rotate currently, you're going to have to think about over rotating, right? With your upper body, you need to over rotate because you're not rotating enough. So if you're only getting to here, right, you're going to want to fully come through all the way around. Plus then, if you're coming through all the way around, then the disc has no ability but to go in the correct direction, in the direction that you're throwing, because the momentum's going that way. If you accept that you're going to throw it correctly, you're going to throw it consistently, you're going to throw it smooth, and it's always going to go in the right direction, then it's going to be so much more consistent, because you've got this momentum going in this direction, and you just will trust that your body, when you're relaxed, is going to reach all the right places. It's going to get into the right positions. So if you want to practice, you get into this throw, and you can feel the rotation, right? And then now you can exaggerate it. The reason why we're staying active is this position, right, in the reach back, is so accessible to then come quickly into the throw. We're staying connected with our. I can feel the tension from my elbow in my back from my elbow coming backwards. I can feel it. It's connected, right? And so when we get into this position, we're bringing ourselves forward. Boom. We've got the right momentum. We can come through with the disc on the right line, right? We can come through and extend forwards. Whereas if we're not getting this, we're staying linear, we're not rotating, boom, there's no momentum with the arm, and so we can't get into this nice follow-through position with the arm. In this correct momentum pathway, we're going to be staying back, and so you really want to practice rotating with your upper body so you can bring it forwards so that your arm can get into the power pocket. It's going to be extremely hard to rotate too quickly unless you over-exaggerate the range of motion that you're going in. So you'll watch Gannon, people like this, they'll bring it like slightly dip it down, and you're trying to get this motion, but a lot of people will get into this motion, but you see it's disconnected from the back. You want to get it so that it's the thing that is moving the back. You can feel it in the reach back. You can feel it like a row, bringing the side of the back, and then coming in, internally rotating in front of your left hip, coming down and extending this left side of the back. You'll see how it's coming around, and then your throw, when you get into this position, will naturally get into this. If it's timed correctly, as you're pulling through, you then meet your chest, and then you rotate through it, and it's all in one motion. When you don't have this, you lose that kinetic chain, you lose the body working in conjunction, and so you get a less powerful throw.
Hello, subscribe to Ben Holding.
There we go. So when you can get into the right positions, you may find that you have other bad habits, like a locked wrist, or your disc is in the wrong position. It can be helpful to bring the front edge of your hand down so that your disc is flat compared to your forearm, and this means that when you curl, you're curling into your forearm and extending, and so when you stay on the same plane, the disc is flat compared to the wrist, compared to the forearm, so wherever you throw, it goes in that direction. And you might find that your release point, etc. This is why you need to stay relaxed too. You might find that your release point changes. Like my release point, when I finally used my wrist, became further left, which is a good thing for me. But understanding how to use your upper body to get this rotation, you should just do some practices, right? Where you're in standstill and you're in this position, looking at the target, and you reach back, curl, and you get into this position, and you watch and see if your shoulders are rotating fully round, and if they're rotating on close to the same height. Because if you'll notice, when you don't rotate and you lose the momentum into your throw, you'll find often you'll dip, and you'll see your arm stays back here. you won't have this rotation with the shoulders. And this is really what we should be looking for, right? You should really, really try and get your arm to be affecting how your back is rotating with your throwing arm and your left arm. I focused a lot on the left arm this video, right? But hopefully this gives you a better idea of what your arms do and where your shoulders should be in comparison, which will help you get into the power pocket, because when you get into this correct position, boom, reach back, come through, and I'm in the power pocket, right? Because when you stay back here, there's no chance to get in the power pocket. You have to, if you want to get in the power pocket, boom, you're now releasing super early. If you want to, like, obviously you're unlikely to do this, but if you come up you go too early, which is a hard thing to do, I guess you could, then you're gonna reach some problems too. But hopefully this helps you understand that when you have this correctly down, your power pocket is going to be an easy thing to do, and you won't have to do things like keep the arm too straight or whatever. But just be aware that when you change this, you need to over exaggerate the changes, because if you're already under rotating, it's going to have to feel like you're over rotating to get into this position. I hope this has been very helpful. This has been the B-hole, and I'm going to see if I can get another goal.